Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Elife Power Lunch with Dr. Baruch and Chris Murray. I am the one and only Chris Murray, and to my right, the one and only Dr. Baruch. How
Tis
are
I.
you?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. We got so much going on, so much good information that we are sharing and have to share with our audience. I'm learning. You know, it's a great experience, and I'm thankful that you're able to come on board with us and be a part of something that I think is going to grow and really have great positive impact on the community. And because we have the internet and we can store this out on the internet, it's going to have an impact on the community years and years and years and years from now.
Yes.
So that's really exciting.
Yes, most definitely. And today we're going to continue sharing information in the real estate space. And I'm very excited about this because we're going to be talking a little bit about real estate investment here with Mr. Andre Boddie. Hello and welcome.
Good morning, family.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And as you guys know, we hit on a few things last week, but we want to go more in depth this week about real estate investment and just how you can grow your financial portfolio in this space. So this is going to be really good. So hot topics. Okay, so last week we talked about generational wealth. So let's just get right back into that. In terms of real estate investment, how can we position ourselves to set ourselves up and our families up for generational wealth using real estate investment as our vehicle?
Well, one of the key components to that is getting really centered and grounded in the Word of God.
Okay.
And primarily what it talks about are the principal reasons why our people perish.
Okay.
And it states that we perish for the lack of knowledge.
Yes.
And in that context, what I've been able to study and understand what the Word is talking about, if you read a little further past that, because a lot of people are familiar with that particular verse,
Right.
it says, because we as individuals deny the truth or deny the knowledge that is there. The
Right.
knowledge has always been there. There's nothing that I'm talking about is new, or I'm not reinventing the wheel.
Right.
It's actually understanding that you have to break down the components of understanding what it takes to actually become financially free.
Okay.
Real estate is a vehicle that I use to obtain freedom.
Okay.
And so what I actually bring to the table are the components that allow you to not only buy one property, but to buy 10, buy 100, buy 1,000.
Okay.
And there's a system that's attached to that.
Right.
And so one of the components that I had to actually get familiar with was understanding that Ecclesiastes talked about it's a season for everything. And so what we have to understand is when you graduate from college and you get a nice six-figure job, or you're making good money for the first time, that doesn't give you the right to go out and to buy everything that you see.
Right.
It doesn't give you the rights to go out and to automatically eat the seed that has been given to you.
Right.
And so it's about explaining to our people the process of building something that deferred gratification.
Right.
I like nice things like the next person.
Right.
But if you don't have the foundation and the fundamentals, in place, you'll be in a situation where the things that you get will be centered around you, and you won't have the wherewithal to invest for the long term, which will have the greater impact for the community.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's it's definitely something we need to take a look at because we've lost so much wealth here in the DC metropolitan area, and what you're sharing with us is not just about the acquisition of a home for self, but actually using real estate as a means to attain wealth. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. Well, let me give you an example. When I expressed to you beforehand, as we note, when we go to college, you'll as soon as you get on campus, you'll have people passing out T-shirts, trying to get you to sign up for the latest credit card, and then as you graduate, you'll have family members tell you, mom and dad normally say, hey, you're a big boy or a big girl now. It's time for you to go out and get your own home.
Right.
But some of those things, some of the traditions, some of that actual information is bad information. It's misinformation because it's centered around you, the individual.
Okay.
And so what we actually do, unbeknown to us, in a lot of ways, I don't think it's intentional self-infliction. We're creating, selfish monsters. We're creating and we're introducing people to, I would say, it's a financial crack.
Okay.
Because
Wow.
if you've never taught a person how to use a credit card, if you've never taught a person what to really do when they get wealth or when they get money,
Right.
money is a tool.
Right.
Real estate is a tool.
Right.
But it's not to be used for the material gain. It's to be used to advance, your financial position because, all during this passage of time in life that we have, I actually wrote some stuff down, and it talked about in Proverbs 13, it talked about a good man or a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Right.
Now, if you're struggling to pay bills
Right.
on this first level,
Next month. Yeah.
how can you leave money
Right.
to 2 to 3 levels when you've
Right.
expired?
Exactly.
So the main thing that I look at are I'm a resource. I'm an avid reader. I'm an example. Single parent household for the majority of my life. Educated, but educated to what? To be a part of the system.
Right.
And
That's
so
a good
once I fell on my face, once I fell, I didn't take it in a manner that I was being defeated. I just felt that it was a blessing because God, the Bible talks about, God always gives us a way of escape. So when I failed, I just felt that God was giving me an opportunity to reinvent myself, to learn why I fell, and to not let my pride and my ego get in the way, but to figure out why.
Right.
I'm not a loser, I just lost.
Right.
So in that space, I feel like, I want to be able to give back to our people. As Dr. Baruch mentioned, we lost so much, but we lost, but it's not over. It's,
Right.
it's a
Right.
continual, perpetual scenario that we can correct only if we have the proper information.
Right.
Yeah, it's the real estate is a good investment probably at any time. Just knowing the right thing to invest in, and I would say what I went through back in 2008 was pretty rough. Because I had real estate and I was renting out and I was looking to sell and I was going through all of that only to find out that the bottom fell out. How did you manage through that? And is what you're doing now and the advice and wisdom that you're giving people going to safeguard them from the possibility of that reoccurring?
That's a phenomenal question. I think one of the things that I was able to do, if I can share with your audience, there are 2 books that I read prior to the collapse though again, in real estate, I made a bunch of money. I've lost some, but I didn't lose everything. And it was more because I had gotten an understanding. The first book is actually called Your Money or Your Life, Transforming Your Relationship with Money and Achieving Financial Independence. And once I got an understanding of the relationship, that realized that money wasn't meant for me to get a house, fix a house, take the proceeds, and go buy a new car. It wasn't about getting a condo, fixing the condo, putting a tenant in, and using the monthly payments to buy an iPhone or Jordans.
Right.
It was about understanding, taking those resources, and understanding that the Bible talks about that if you take care of the least of them, I'll take care of you. So God allowed me, He allowed several of us to fall because we still were not wholeheartedly centered in on the principles of constantly providing. If you, it's 2 types of people in this world. You're either a giver or a taker. So in that space, the second book that I actually read was by Maggie Anderson. It's called Our Black Year, One Family's Quest to Buy Black in America's Racially Divided Economy. And the book literally, it totally changed my perspective in terms of understanding that the things that we aspire to do with regards to everyone wants to be educated. People want the best for their children, but they're just baseline things that we lack as a community.
Right.
And in the book, one of the things that she noted that really struck me, one of the hardest things was back in the 1930s, we had some over 7,000 to 10,000 grocery stores that were owned by black people. To this day, there may be less than a dozen.
Right.
So from a percentage standpoint, there are over 35 to 40 million black people in this country. So that's saying we should have at least 10 to 15,000 grocery stores that service our community. So what I came to understand was, you hear people talk about, certain things. I've always been interested in understanding the why and getting down to the understanding of why and how things work.
That's right. Awesome. So tell us what exactly you do, because I know I mentioned real estate investment, but that's not the only thing that you do.
Correct. I'm actually a partner in Kelstar Consulting, and our whole mission there is to help people first protect the money that they make. It doesn't matter if you make $50 a week or if you make $50,000 a week. If you don't protect it, you won't be able to do what that verse in Proverb talked about. In terms of leaving an inheritance for your children's children. You first have to protect what you bring in. Then we actually help you to grow it.
Okay, is that in terms of real estate investments, or is that any type of financial?
It's a combination.
Okay.
Because we have a saying where we work that it's just money.
Okay.
It's just money. It's not a specialized scenario.
Gotcha.
You have to have a vehicle to bring it in.
Right.
But you have to have containers to protect it.
Okay.
To manage it, to grow it, and to pass it on.
Okay.
So I primarily use real estate as a vehicle that allows me to do those four primary things to make sure that, again, I'm protecting it, growing it, managing it, and passing it on to my children.
Okay, say those four things one more time. That's important.
Protection, management, growth, and transference. Leaving a legacy to your children. We're fastly approaching the holiday season, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this. We're all adults here, and people are going to do what they want to do. But those same people who had this level of fear when Trump got elected, they really need to look in the mirror and ask themselves, if you don't go out and either buy these books that I mentioned to your children or for yourself, and you go out and you actually spend your seed into the system that doesn't give back to you or your community.
That's right.
You are essentially giving yourself your own rope to hang yourself financially.
Right, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because that just ties into what we've been talking about. It's a mind shift that has to happen. Like, we're dropping these good nuggets, but what we have to do is really put in the work to get our people to understand, so that they see the value, why it's more important to invest in these books and in teaching your children versus buying the latest whatever it is that's out, video game, tennis shoes. I don't know what they're buying these days, but like you said, that doesn't help us. That hurts us, actually, because these are things that were designed to distract us, to keep us from doing what we're supposed to be doing. That way we stay down.
Exactly.
How do we get up? Knowledge.
Exactly.
Coming down here on Wednesday night and learning, listening to the show so we can learn new things. We can get these four things to protect, manage, growth, and transference. All of this stuff is very important, and they're key things in order to get our people to where we really need to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a time now like never before, as we reflect on not just the political, race that we've just seen, but obviously the climate, the social, the political, and the racial climate was already here. So we were already here. We just didn't know it. Now we know it, because now we got an opportunity to say, oh, okay, so this is what y'all wanted. This is who y'all wanted, and this is how many of y'all out there. We thought, whoever the we are, we thought we were the majority, and it's like, whoa, only to find out that, okay, now this is what's up. And for the next however long, We're going to be dealing with the reality of somebody who, for many of us, didn't necessarily represent our train of thought, our political position, and what we thought our future was going to be about. And I bring that up as we have to be concerned about politics. Everything is political. I asked the question that I think is important, and that is, how critical or what difference does it make whether it was Hillary or Obama did a third term or Trump, with regard to real estate?
Fantastic question. I think the main thing that we need to focus on, it really doesn't matter. And if this is any word of encouragement, you just have to use common sense. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is a businessman. So, again, I'm going to go back to it. The Christmas season is upon us. Right. Instead of going out here spending things that you don't need, right. Because it's been noted that most people who are of the impoverished mindset, we buy what we want and we beg and borrow for what we need. Mm. And so it doesn't matter what you need to understand and what you need to Google, what you need to be able to print out and maybe put that into a box and hand to your family members or children. What is Trump's tax plan? What is his mindset? Will he go to a 15% flat tax rate, which is a businessman or a business person? Everyone needs to, instead of going out buying things you don't need for Christmas, incorporate your business. Right. Get an EIN number. Right. And understand that the principles of God, see, this is about God. See, God allows everything. You can't be God is at the helm when it benefits you on one side, right. and then he's not at the helm when it doesn't benefit you. If we do what's necessary and understand the premise of real estate, understand the premise of real property, mm-hmm. we were brought here as a people, as property,
right,
to develop the land for whomever to benefit. Right. The premise is never going to change. We are in real estate now. You were in real estate when you woke up this morning. You're going to be in real estate tonight. You work in real estate. Mm-hmm. When you were born either in a house or, as Jesus was, in a manger, or you were born in somewhere it was real estate. When you die, they're going to put you in a box, right. and they're going to bury you in land. Right. It's still real estate. Mm-hmm. You can't get away from it. But what we need to understand are the working mechanics of how things work, and how can you, right. as an American citizen, as a taxpayer, as a person that wants to have some financial freedom, how can you benefit from real estate in terms of it bringing you the freedom that you may be looking for?
Right, right. Who's in a position to really have that conversation now in regard to real estate investment?
That's a fantastic question. I think anyone that I'd say at the age of 16, you need to start having the conversation.
16, okay.
16, because what happens is there's a certain mindset that is actually developed. Okay. And there's a certain energy, there's a certain degree of understanding that the Bible talks about, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Mm-hmm. We need to be imparting wisdom. We need to be imparting these seeds. So when the children become of age, right. when they become 18, right. and they can legally sign a contract, they right. can do these things. They understand the importance of ownership, mm-hmm. even as small as the thing that I had mentioned to you about, if you think about it, weddings have become probably the biggest single expense that the majority of us will face at an early age. Right. Why would you spend $50,000 on a wedding when you can put $50,000 on a 4-unit apartment building, have other people get up and go to work for you, wow. and you never have to work a day in your life, and you live rent free from 21 to the day you die?
You're not thinking right. That's why. Wow. Yeah. Things like that. That's mind-blowing information. You guys offer workshops, or how do you get your information out so that the people know these things like you're saying now?
Well, that's a fantastic question. First I want to thank Dr. Baruch and yourself for having me out. We have several ways that people can reach us. If they are interested in the real estate side of the ledger, I have a number. If you're ready, that particular number for DMV Capital, you can reach us at 202-630-7638. Again, that number is 202-630-7638. For the financial planning component, which is the four pillars, protection, management, growth, and transference, you can call Kelstar Consulting.
Okay.
And that number is 202-460-7031. I'm sorry, 202-460-7031 is Kelstar Consulting.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And you've got some information that all of us can benefit from. And I would suspect that the guy with, well, let me ask it. What's too little money to get in the game? Or what's too little money? What's too little or too low of a credit score? And what mindset just doesn't work? So I'm giving you all the things that if you're beyond those thresholds, maybe you need to go for a class or two and get upgraded, But tell us that. So how much money, what's the credit score, and what is the mindset that is necessary in order to make this work?
That's a phenomenal question, Dr. Baruch. I would say for actual investments themselves, you can have as little as $1,000. For people that want to actually be educated, I would say as little as $50.
Okay.
I like to eat really good food at Everlasting Life. If you want to call me and you want to buy me a sandwich or buy me something to drink, I'll be willing to sit down and impart some information. Because again, it's not information. It's not my information. It's just information that I asked for.
Right.
The Word of God says we have not because we ask not. So in that same space, the mindset it's willing to take inventory of where you are, and not try to be a know-it-all.
Right.
You know a little bit, but if you step back and you kind of be willing to have we do what are called personal financial statements.
Okay.
And it's just taking a personal inventory and looking in the mirror and seeing where you are. So because I have a common problem, and I don't want to get too deep down a rabbit hole, but people will come and say, that the establishment, the power to be, whoever you want to classify it, they're redlining.
Okay.
And I tell them, no, they're not redlining when they actually pull your credit, and we run a personal financial statement. You're paying $500 a month for a Lexus, but you don't have life insurance. See, so immediately you've painted the narrative to the lender that you have 4 kids, and you have a $500 car note, and they ask you, do you have life insurance? Because there's sections on the application that state it.
Right.
So if we would have gotten you when you were 16,
right,
and I would have got you to get the life insurance when you were 16, because remember, when you're under 18, you don't even have to take blood work. And so that's another way that they get us as black people, especially black men. You start getting insurance after you've played around in your 20s, your 30s,
right,
got a little serious in your 40s. You have a little bit more money in your 50s, but because your diet is terrible, you have hypertension, they won't even qualify you. So you can't leave generational wealth to your children if you wanted to. So that's why I talked about starting at a younger age to be able to put these mechanisms in place. So by the time you're 21,
right,
you have life insurance, you have good credit,
right,
you have money in the bank. It doesn't have to be a lot. You
right,
just have to show them that you are willing to serve others before you serve yourself.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And you brought up, starting at 16. I can't imagine, what is that conversation like when you're talking to a 16-year-old?
Well, you'd be surprised. They're with technology. One of the things that the millennial generation, they're really not down with working for one person for 20 years. They want to try different things. They want to have the freedom. They want to have the space to do different things. They just want to. They want it to be someone to just cut it to them straight and allow them the room to actually experiment. So. I think the main thing is most of us want freedom, but most of us just don't know what freedom looks like.
Right. And we have all heard the name. I think it's Richard Kiyosaki.
Robert.
We heard that name. Not Richard. And so Robert has the game. That's the game that everybody's playing?
Cash flow.
Cash flow. There it is. See, I'm talking to the right person. I think that's an interesting. I won't say good because you might think differently. So I don't want to go all in with it. And but I think it's a good way to get people thinking about money and making better decisions and seeing how money works. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fantastic. I think we need to not be very highbrow within regards to education. You get it any way you can get it. I think the main thing that we have to look at is in the financial sector, as you stated, because we're not even familiar with the terms, general terms. We don't hold certain things in enough high esteem, and we don't value those particular terms. I'm going to give you a term that in my industry it's called debt to income. Mm-hmm. It's called your DTI. Mm-hmm. So again, when you don't put yourself in a position, where you get a job, you come into the workplace, you get 4 or 5 credit cards, you have student loan debt, you have the new car, you have the house. You can't even put yourself in a position to buy real estate because you have too many other debts that are in front of the actual property. Mm-hmm. So if something were to happen where the tenant couldn't pay, mm-hmm. and you had to actually pick up the payment for that month, mm-hmm. to just keep everything straight with the lender to keep your credit straight, you don't have the discretionary income because you're paying everybody else before you take care of the investment. Right. So just getting the children, the teenagers used to understanding the pattern how things work, okay, I think is the most important thing. I'm not saying that you cannot have nice things. Mm-hmm. Just don't put them in front of the things that will generate wealth.
Right.
That's great. And we've invited you out, Brother Andre, to come and speak at the Health, Wealth, and Knowledge of Self workshop that we have on Wednesday evenings. I'm not sure what your availability will be tonight, but that's something that goes on every Wednesday, mm-hmm. where we talk about whether it's health, whether it's wealth, or whether it's knowledge of self. We think those are 3 pretty critical areas that we need to be more apprised of, and we need to do more work in, and we need to get a better image of, because I think some of us just don't have the right image. They're engaged in a process, but they're looking at it from the wrong perspective, so we get a chance to kind of change people's understanding and perspective in the Health, Wealth, and Knowledge of Self workshop series. That's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. with myself and other experts who will be able to elevate your understanding of life and help you make better decisions on behalf of yourself. So hopefully that'll be something that you might be able to hang out. I don't know how close we are to you, proximity to what you're doing this evening, but if you're able to come back out and share with the family, we invite, everybody. It's free. It's a community setting. It's a community environment. It's what we need. We need one of those. We need a center where we can just come and get information.
Amen.
I need to figure out how to work out whatever it is. Somebody in this room can help me. Let me tell you what I got. Mm-hmm. And we all know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So. Hopefully you're able to come back out. But I wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing with us. And I know you've given out your contact information, but I'd like for you to do that again so that our audience can, find out how they get in contact with you, be it a website, an email, or phone number, whatever's best.
Sure. Again, DMV Capital on the real estate front would be 202-630-7638. For the life insurance, wealth building, wealth creation, Kelstar Consulting at 202-460-7031.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. Well, again, thank you, and thank you all out there in the listening audience, and thank you, Chris.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Brother Boddie, for just coming out. That information is so helpful, and I look forward to having you back again. I'm either on the show on a Wednesday night or both. And thank you guys for watching. This has been another episode of the Elife Power Lunch with Dr. Baruch and Chris Murray. We'll see you next time.